Yo, Jonathan Pollard, Florida employment lawyer. I'm going to talk today about the absolute importance of reporting to HR. Okay? I'm just going to spit on this one. This is for anybody who's in a situation at work where they are being discriminated against. And let me just back up and give you some parameters on this, okay, folks? Number one, I do not accept cases where the person is still working for the company, okay? You need to be realistic about that. I'm not going to be the middleman and shuttle messages back and forth between an employee and HR or legal. I'm just not going to do that. We get 100 plus calls every week from somebody who still works at the company is like, I want to know what to do. I'm being discriminated against. It's terrible. Like, can you represent me? No, I'm not getting involved in playing middleman. I represent folks once they no longer work for the company. Once you no longer work for the company, okay, game on. I can get involved if I think you have a real case. Let's talk about what a real case is and what a real case is not, okay? Laws exist to protect your rights. Laws do not exist to protect your feelings. And if that hurts your feelings, you are definitely not the kind of person who I'm ever going to represent. You have to understand there is a difference between what I call jerkish behavior and discrimination, right? So what we're looking for are real cases involving race discrimination, age discrimination, sex discrimination, sexual harassment, religious discrimination, disability discrimination, failure to accommodate, right? That's what we're really talking about. You know, construction worker on the job site being called all kinds of racist names, okay? That's what we're talking about. A person who turns 66, 67 and is basically told, hey, when are you going to retire? Shouldn't you be retiring soon? Age discrimination, right? They get forced out of the job and replaced with somebody younger, right? Somebody who needs a reasonable accommodation, right? They need 2 hours off every month to go to therapy, right? For PTSD from when they were in the military, and their company says, yeah, sorry, you either show up and work your shift or you're fired. That's your problem, not ours, right? This is what we're talking about. These are real cases, okay? If you are in a situation where you are being discriminated against, your rights are being violated at work, you know, one of the first thoughts that jump into your mind is, I can't report this. If I report this to HR, then I'm done. You know, they're going to set me up. They're going to force me out. They're going to fire me. You know, they're going to retaliate against me. Well, folks, it is what it is. Okay? It is what it is. I know everybody's got to eat. Everybody's got to make a living. Everybody's got bills to pay. You got to survive. But from a standpoint of your decision-making calculus, okay, you're either going to report your concerns, your complaints, the racism, the discrimination, the retaliation. You're either going to report that to HR and then have a record of it and have a paper trail of it, or you're not, and then you're going to stay there and you're going to continue to be harassed and discriminated against and mistreated and go to whatever end, right? Either you're forced out eventually anyway, or you quit because you can't take it anymore, right? What is more advantageous? To go that route without reporting and documenting, or to go that route with the benefit of reporting and documenting? Well, I say number two, okay, option B, the benefit of reporting and documenting. So you report and you document. And I know a lot of people have this knee-jerk gut instinct of, I don't want to say anything because if I say something, they're going to retaliate against me and force me out. That is true. That is true. In many companies, including many big companies, Fortune 500 companies, if you report discrimination, harassment, sexual harassment, etc., if you report these things, there are many big companies in America where, number one, they're just going to immediately come back and say it's unsubstantiated, right? Unsubstantiated. We have a case where it's a big company, okay? A South Florida location of a big company This particular location was out of control, okay? It was off the chain. You had people there that were constantly, making racist comments, racial jokes, supervisors physically assaulting people, sexually assaulting people. Multiple employees went to corporate HR of a big company. And every time the big company said unsubstantiated, 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 didn't take it seriously. Guess what? Now they're starting to take it seriously because they're about to have to tap and pay a couple $1 million. But that's what happens, right? You report, it's unsubstantiated, they force you out. Okay, if that's what's going to happen, then it's going to be what it's going to be. But you put yourself in a stronger position by documenting and reporting, okay? And so who do you report to? If there's a corporate hotline, if there's an HR, right? You want to report in writing. Okay. A lot of people say, well, I told my supervisor, I told my manager. That should be sufficient. That should be good enough because a manager should then have a duty to go to corporate or HR or up the food chain to whoever his or her supervisor is and get it investigated through the proper channels. But as we all know, if you tell your manager or your supervisor, the company is still going to deny they ever had an outside. We didn't know. The manager or supervisor never told us. We had no idea what was going on. We had no idea about this supposedly terrible discrimination and harassment. Nobody ever told us, right? You have to make it so that the company cannot deny knowledge, right? You have to look at this, right? It's kind of like guerrilla warfare, okay? You have to box the company in. You have to assume and anticipate that a liar is gonna lie, okay? And you just have to box them in so they have no way out. They have no way to run away from the truth, okay? How do you do that? You put it in writing. You put it in writing, you send it to your supervisor, you send it to HR, and you want to go a step further. This is what the companies hate, but this is what I recommend all the time. Send it to the absolute corporate leadership. Send it to the chief operating officer, the head of HR, the CEO, the president. Send it to folks really, really high up the company. Why? What does that do for you? Well, number one, if you're the president, CEO, COO, head of HR at a big company, and you get an email from somebody that says, hey, I'm down here working in West Palm Beach at this location, and I'm trying to do my job, and here's what's happening. I'm being discriminated against, supervisors are assaulting people. If you send that email, okay, and the powers that be get that email, now the company is unequivocally on notice and they have to do something. They have to investigate. They have to document. They have to create a paper trail. They have to go through the right processes, because if they don't and you subsequently sue them, they can't deny knowledge. They're going to get cooked, and it's going to look really, really ugly when the powers that be, the highest ranks of the company, were involved and they didn't do something, or even worse, did the opposite, right? Fired you, retaliated against you. That's going to put them on the hook if the company either drops the ball or engages in retaliation. And especially under 1981, right? 1981 covers race claims. It's the original Civil Rights Act right after the Civil War, 1865. 1981 has punitive damages. So unlike Title VII, for instance, or most state law employment regimes, 1981 has punitive damages and potentially uncapped punitive damages. And so if you're going to go for punitive damages against a big company, one of the hooks that you need in there is that you need the company at the highest ranks being on notice. Why? Well, because that goes to culpability, because that goes to the company's guilt, okay? It's one thing if the company can say, hey, look, this was all a problem that was being handled by lower level managers or lower level supervisors, and it never really percolated up to the top. So if we're going to get popped for some of this, right, only pop us for, what the lower level managers screwed up, and don't really hold us to task as a company, right, and punish us big time because, the higher ups, we didn't know. If we knew, we would have done the right thing. Well, you've got to take that excuse away from them, because the reality is, of course, they flipping knew. Of course they knew. It's all a game of gotcha, right? So you want to play a little game of gotcha, right? I'm guerrilla warfare, okay? Go to the top, right? Don't just document. Don't just report. Don't just report to, HR person number 3, right? Assistant, deputy, HR, whatever. Like, no. Go to the head of HR. Go to the head of HR. Go to the C levels. Go to the president. Go to the CEO. Go to the COO. Go all the way up the chain so that the company cannot deny knowledge. The more you know, teaching you how to do this one step at a time. Have a great day.